Thank you for being here with me. I wish I could bring reassuring news tonight, but I can't. We are living through an extraordinarily serious and deeply alarming moment in the history of the United States. Under a president whose behavior grows more erratic by the day, we are being pushed steadily toward an authoritarian system where power is increasingly concentrated in the hands of a single individual. The situation is frightening. There is no point pretending otherwise. But despite the danger, I remain firmly convinced of one thing. If we stand together, if we refuse to let Donald Trump and his allies divide us, we can and we will overcome this moment. And there is reason for cautious optimism. More and more Republicans are beginning to recognize the mistake of aligning themselves with Trump, both politically and morally. Polls increasingly show his support eroding, even within his own party. Let's start by acknowledging one thing about Donald Trump. At times, he is brutally honest. Last week in an interview with the New York Times, he was asked what he believes limits his power in matters of international affairs. His response was chilling. He said, and I quote, "Yeah, there is one thing. My own morality, my own mind. That's the only thing that can stop me. I don't need international law." Think about that statement. Trump openly declared that he does not believe international law constrains him in any meaningful way. And from that belief flows a series of deeply dangerous conclusions. He believes he has the authority to attack Venezuela without congressional approval. He believes he can threaten war against Denmark, a long-standing NATO ally, in order to seize Greenland. He has openly threatened Mexico, Colombia, and even Canada. In other words, Trump is correct about one thing. He has no respect for international law, and when the President of the United States dismisses international law, the consequences extend far beyond our borders. Other nations will follow that example. The result is not strength, and it is global chaos. We move toward a world of international anarchy, where violence is justified by whatever excuse a government or terrorist organization finds convenient. That is a terrifying reality. But his contempt does not stop at international norms. It extends directly to the Constitution of the United States and the rule of law here at home. He has illegally withheld funds that Congress lawfully appropriated, cutting money from programs ranging from education to climate initiatives. He has punished states simply for voting against him. He has attacked federal courts and ignored judicial rulings. He sent FBI agents into the home of a Washington Post reporter. He has relentlessly targeted media outlets that refuse to kneel before him. He has threatened universities whose academic curricula do not align with his ideology. He has renamed federal buildings after himself. He is actively investigating his political opponents, including U.S. senators, the conservative chair of the Federal Reserve, and the Attorney General of New York. He is pressuring states to redraw congressional districts in ways that benefit his preferred candidates. Donald Trump is not engaging in political disagreement. He is attempting to eliminate opposition entirely. When you add all of this together, and there is even more, the conclusion is unavoidable. Trump is systematically undermining the foundations of American democracy and the principles this nation has stood for since its birth. And as alarming as all of that is, we now face an even more horrifying development in Minneapolis. An unarmed American citizen, Renee Good, was shot in the head in broad daylight by an ICE officer. Instead of demanding accountability, the first response from the Trump administration was to lie, to label her a domestic terrorist, and to offer the officer complete immunity. This mirrors a familiar and disturbing pattern. The January 6th insurrectionists, people who violently attempted to overturn a democratic election, were rebranded by Trump as peaceful protesters and later pardoned. Meanwhile, a woman sitting in her car is executed, branded a terrorist, and the person who killed her is protected. Rather than withdrawing ICE from Minneapolis or reducing its presence after this atrocity, the administration has done the opposite. Thousands more ICE agents have been deployed to the city. The president is now threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act, allowing him to send the U.S. military into Minneapolis on top of the already massive ICE presence. Let's be clear about what that means. The administration's response to peaceful protest is the militarization of a major American city. This is not only outrageous, and it establishes a precedent for using the U.S. military domestically against perceived political opponents. And all of this is happening while the billionaire class continues to accumulate obscene levels of wealth. 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Our healthcare system is collapsing. Housing is unaffordable. Grocery prices keep rising. Nearly 800,000 people are homeless. Families cannot feed their children. And the president is contemplating war with Denmark over Greenland. That is the reality we are living in. So, what must we do? First, the American people are exhausted by masked ICE agents shooting civilians, dragging people from their cars, detaining children, and deporting individuals who have lived peacefully in this country for decades. The public wants comprehensive immigration reform, and Congress must deliver it, including a clear path to citizenship. Second, we must oppose Trump's authoritarianism through every legal and nonviolent means available. I will continue doing everything in my power in the United States Senate, and people across this country must act in their own communities as well. Third, we must focus relentlessly on the midterm elections next November. If we defeat Republicans in the House and Senate, we can significantly slow Trump's authoritarian agenda and begin to halt the erosion of American democracy. These are dangerous times, but we must remember something fundamental. Real change has never come from the top down. It has always come from ordinary people standing together, organizing, protesting, and demanding justice. Democracy is not something we inherit. It is something we fight for. And if we remain engaged, united, and determined, we will not only defeat authoritarianism and oligarchy, we will build a nation that finally works for everyone, not just the powerful few. Thank you.